Hello, beloved twin flames. This is Stephanie Parasha, Divine Light, coming out to you from New Zealand, Aotearoa. I am actually currently in the midst of a big change right now. I've been part of this wave of light workers that got kind of pushed out of their current situation and into a new job, a new place of living. My daughter has started a new school, all connected to the 999 portal, which was the day that we actually got on the boat and departed one island and moved to another. So part of the journey has been really, really smooth and easy, and then other parts of it have been pretty challenging and up and down, and definitely been triggered a couple of times for different reasons, and really having to look at some deeper things that are going on inside of myself around such a big move. And so a little bit discombobulated, but at the same time gaining strength through resilience and learning how to deal with situations in the face of a challenge. So what I'm bringing through today is information that is, I believe, really, really important, but which some people prefer not to talk about. It's a place where we prefer really not to go, and that is into the shadow and the reflection within ourselves, and the shadow within ourselves and the reflection of what we see in our outside world, and what we're experiencing in our outside world. That essentially is really a reflection of the shadow or the relationship within ourselves that we're having. So I was talking to one of my beloved regular clients, and some of this information came through in our session. So I want to thank him for that session and for bringing through this information, which I believe will be helpful also for a large number of people. So what we are really trying to do on the spiritual path of ascension is to raise our vibration, to become more light, to become more powerful, to become more amazing people as people. And then as we start this journey, what we find is that at times, even though we think we're raising our vibration and ascending and becoming more light, what we're experiencing is actually a lot more darkness and a lot more pain, and having to really face some of the really more uncomfortable, painful, darker, deeper parts of ourselves, which is, I guess, again, that polarized force of as we go higher, as we go brighter, as we become lighter. We, on the other extreme polarity of that, it opens up the opportunity for those parts of us that have been hidden and shamed away into the shadows to come up to experience the light. As it feels the part of us going more into the light, it says, oh, now is it time for me to come out? Now can I come out of the shadows and be experienced? And sometimes that part of us it might not even be saying that. It might actually be saying, well, fuck you everybody, because this is shit and this is dumb and I'm not really enjoying this experience, and twin flame is all just rubbish. Okay, so, and then the other part of us goes, no, it's not, it's amazing, and we're learning so much. So, okay, this is really that dual aspect as we go higher and brighter and lighter. It enables us to hold the parts of us that are needing the love and needing the attention, because we're able to, because we grow into a place where we can. And so this is part of the practical part of the spiritual ascension process that I like to talk about, which is when we hold those parts of us that are in the most pain and the most fear with the greatest love and compassion and acceptance. And so that's really the spiritual path. That's what it really is about. And many spiritual teachings of the past have kind of actually been more on an avoidance path, where we kind of rise above it, or we go higher so that we pretty much don't have to experience it. That's been the way of the past. That's been actually also, when we look at the polarities, more of a masculine approach to dealing with becoming stronger means just staying stoic and not letting those emotions or difficulties affect you. And another way that now we're learning about is that we actually become more softer, and we soften into the pain, and we give it the attention and the acknowledgement it needs. For example, it's understandable that you're feeling that way. Therefore, we validate that difficult emotion. That was really terrible what happened to you. I can see why you must be feeling pissed off or upset. I'm here for you, and let's just work through this together. So that's rather than kind of rising above in this more kind of tending to be more of a masculine approach. This is a more accepting, more nurturing, being alongside your fear and reintegrating it approach. Integrating it by loving it into integration. Now, I was talking to one of my clients about the parts of us that kind of disassociate or escape out due to our hardwiring, which is avoiding the pain. We're actually hardwired to avoid the pain through our wonderful central nervous system mechanism that gets us out of danger fast. So we were wired that was to help us survive in times when we were under threat physically. And now what it's translated to is actually more of a under threat emotionally. Now, most people would probably tell you that the pain that they experience the most of is more emotional than physical. So now our central nervous system has translated that pain through the brain, and the only way that it knows how, as you're under threat. This is even though it's still pain, it doesn't identify whether it's emotional or physical. It just knows it's pain. Therefore, let's try and get out of this fast. So the main ways that people try and get out of this fast is project and blame onto others. It's someone else's fault as to why I'm feeling this way. They will just avoid the situation, run away, and go and find something to make them feel better fast. They fight it, so they'll just basically put up a wall, shut down, deny, do whatever they can to find a way out of the pain. Now, this path is a newer path. As we are evolving and awakening, we're finding newer, more effective ways to respond to threats and danger, whereby we first have to let the central nervous system know that actually you are safe. Even though it's feeling like a threat, even though it's feeling painful and scary and things feel like they're going wrong, I am still safe in this moment, and I trust that everything is going to in some way work out okay. And also, another big part of this process of calming down the central nervous system is losing the resistance to whatever's causing the problem. So resistance is also a massive part of trying to avoid the pain. That's when we push against it and we say, no, I don't want this, I don't like it, I'm not going to experience this. So that's huge resistance. The more feminine approach is, I'm just going to trust that this is some kind of thing that I'm meant to be learning right now, and I'm going to surrender it and let it go and just offer it up, because I don't really know any other way than to just kind of this is different than freeze, which is I'm just going to play dead and hope that it'll go away. This is more of a I'm surrendered to trusting that somehow or other this is meant to be, and it's just going to work out okay, and just letting it go, and surrendering into it, and acknowledging while it's there, but just letting go. So So the reason I'm talking about this information at this time is that, again, I'm seeing yet another wave, I guess you could say, or some more influences that are causing twin flames to be triggered yet again to go even deeper. And as you know, and that causes a lot of people to reach out for help. I've had a lot of people reaching out in the last week, and I thought, oh my gosh, through all those eclipses and what have you and so on, and we thought we'd got through that, and now there's more triggering going on, and I guess what we need to be reminded of is that when we choose this twin flame path, we chose it so that we could come, definitely so that we could come into union with our beautiful beloved. But what we realized was that in order to do that, we have needed to really release and heal and integrate all those parts of us that have been in fear, that have been in pain, and we will be triggered into seeing what those things are in order to heal them. So that is a massive part of the twin flame journey. And people are saying, really? There's more pain. Well, what we need to be getting really clever at and really good at is developing our tools and techniques and cultivating the ability to regard pain when we're triggered as a beautiful opportunity to heal. And people are still seeing, when you're saying, oh gosh, there's more pain, that shows that there's still resistance. There's still a feeling of that pain is a bad thing, that I can't handle it, because when I go into the pain, I really feel powerless and I don't know what to do, and I just get really wobbly and I freak out and I'm ineffective and I can't go to work and all the rest of it. So when that's happening, it's because we're still resisting, because there's still a part of us that cannot accept being in pain, or there's a part of us that isn't able to hold ourselves in the pain and feels ashamed of it, or feels that this is a bad thing that we're experiencing. We need to be getting really good at actually welcoming whenever we get a trigger. We need to be welcoming it and saying, great, this is awesome. Now I'm being shown what I need to heal. Now I've got the tools. And each time we become stronger at this and better at this, because we need to get to the point that we're never going to stop having challenges in this human existence. We didn't come down to earth and think it was all going to be fluffy and wonderful all of the time. I hope not. It's always known in all the traditions that we will always be facing challenges in this human realm, but it's how we deal with it and how we respond to it that gives us the resilience and the strength and the ability to face times of challenge. And so, you might feel like one of those Weeblies, or I don't know what they're called back in the day, where they used to be sort of oddly shaped and they'd fall over but they'd bounce back up again. That's kind of what we need to be getting to, so that we just get a little bash and then we go, whoa, okay, that was pretty tough, and that was, and some of us are getting big ones at the moment. Like I've got twins telling me that their partners are with others and they're having children with others. They're being totally ignored and blocked and experiencing a lot of pain and, excuse me for that noise, on their journey. And so people are really getting triggered into their really deep abandonment, core rejection. And so what do we do for that? We are developing ways of holding ourselves in that pain and being able to work with it, and that is how we develop trust. We don't develop trust by putting our trust in the other person. We develop it first by being able to trust ourselves when the times are tough, that we can handle it, we can get through it, even though we get bashed around, even though things aren't looking positive for us, we have resilience to be able to deal with it, not in the old way of being all like, oh, well, I'll just get on with it, I'll get over it, I'll move on. We actually really integrate. We actually really sit with ourselves. We feel the pain. We experience the emotion attached to the pain, anger, upset, tears, and we sit with ourselves in it, and we hold ourselves, and we're just there for ourselves, and we provide ourselves with the most soothing, wonderful words of love and compassion and acceptance and understanding, so that whenever we in the future experience further pain and suffering, that we know we are there for us, if you understand what I mean by that. So that's what I mean that's what people mean when they talk about this shadow. A lot of people misunderstand that the shadow is a bad part of us, a shameful part of us, that we is a demon, or it's a dark thing. And so of course we don't want to go there, but really, really what it is the part of us that's the most scared and it's tried to deal with that fear by acting out in ways to try and avoid either being judged or further shamed or further in pain. And those ways in which it acted out, which we were totally hardwired to do, have resulted in us actually hiding those parts of ourselves because we were again judged and shamed for having an emotion, for having a response, which was just a normal response. I was trying to give this example to again, one of my clients earlier on, when we talk about the scientific biological response of a human according to the animal, the evolution of us as animals, the mammalian brain that we develop, which takes us one step past the reptilian, is when we develop the ability to bond and to recognize a mate. And when dogs have this very strongly, their mammalian brain is very enlarged, and so they are the creatures that most have that connection and bonding with their owners, so that when their owners are gone, they fret and they get very, very upset, and they'll bite and they'll chew and they'll destroy things because they're really really distressed that their owners have left them, because they have developed the mammalian brain, which has the ability to bond with others. So we also have this, okay, but when we have distress, when our owners have gone, or our mothers have gone, or our partners have gone and separated from us, and we experience separation anxiety and we act out, we're shamed for it. So, from an early age, as a young child, you were told, your mum's coming back, don't worry, don't cry, your mum's just gone here and there. We were not told, oh, it's okay, I know it's scary when your mum goes away, isn't it? But she is going to come back soon. We just didn't even give the opportunity for the child to even be allowed to feel and express their fear. And that's understandable, that we have fear, that we do respond in that way. That is also part of us, but that was shut down. So that's why it becomes difficult to relive the pain again when we're triggered, because we're told we're not allowed to feel that. So that therefore becomes the newer part of our evolved human, the part of us, the wise, loving, compassionate part that can come in and support the part of us that's in pain and worrying about how it looks in the process, if you know what I mean. That's the shadow. That's all it is. Okay, it's not something to be feared. Even the worst parts of us. I was talking to, again, another client of mine who was talking about their part of themselves that just was like a killer, that would just go and kill and maim and was violent and aggressive. And we identified that part of him was also just as scared as the part of him on the other polar opposite extreme that was very, very fearful and vulnerable and didn't want to be seen. That was the same fear, but it was just acting out in a polarized way to try and avoid being hurt, to avoid being harmed, to avoid feeling powerless, having someone else take power over them. And that was the way it was responding to that. And we have the most violent killer that we're able to say, hey, it's okay, I understand that you're afraid, this is a scary situation, but let's look at how we can just try and feel safe right now and try and calm down and be okay with just relaxing and breathing and trusting that things are just going to work out. Let's put down the gun and surrender to trusting and letting go and being in the moment and being safe and everything working out. So you can see how this is, on an inner level, very, very important work that we do as humans. We are those of you that are listening to this video will be probably the first waves of humans that are going through this transition, this change, this new setting of our ability to respond to danger without reverting to the reptilian survival fight, flight, freeze response. We're developing new neural pathways based in the ability to keep the central nervous system safe first by breathing and saying really beautifully soothing, gentle, calm words and being there for us in our pain, holding it safe, integrating the fearful parts of us. That's all we're doing. We're integrating the shadow and becoming stronger in that process, because when we're doing that, we're breathing and we're growing our central nervous system strong. Our central column becomes very strong and light. It no longer vibrates at that fearful rate where it's worried about danger. It's hypervigilant. It's on alert every time to be ready for some kind of threat. We are just now stabilizing and coming into, it's okay. Even though we're going to experience threat and challenge, we're okay. We've got this. Okay, so we're just kind of soothing our way through this. This is what the shadow is. And I also identified, I'll just give you, I'm using this example of this particular client, and I'm not giving away any information about who this person is, obviously, so it's confidential, but using their situation as an example, which I hope will help others. So he'd also mentioned that he was attracting personalities of partners that had bipolar, and he wondered what that was about. And when we looked at these parts of himself that had polarized, we could see then the reflection of how he was attracting also people that had that polarized version of themselves, that those two extreme polar opposites had never met each other, and they probably never would, but they needed an intermediate mediator to come in between that would say, hey, it's okay, you're both scared, but come in now. I've got you, we're here, we can do this together, and nobody's going to harm you here because you're safe. So that was the work that we did, and so that's why I said that was about understanding that what's going on inside of us mirrors out and reflects in the relationships that we're having with others, because we're just re-experiencing the shadow parts of ourselves that are needing integration. And some people will do that for us and come in to help us to see those parts of ourselves that otherwise we wouldn't see. And we bless those people very much. And a lot of the time those people are our twin flames. And so again, twin flames, we've got to remember, not necessarily here to have the greatest love story of all time. Yes, eventually we will when we come into balance, but in order for that to happen, we first need to create that beautiful union within all the parts of ourselves that are feeling polarized and at war or at battle and are feeling unsafe. All those relationships created within to come into balance and integration points. That's what we're looking for. And we're not just going into the light in order to ignore or to resist or move away from or move above or rise above the shadow. We are fully integrating the shadow through compassionate love. Okay, just a reminder on that. I have talked about these topics before, but I just felt that that this may benefit to hear this again. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to send you out a whole lot of love from my heart, and to know that you're not alone, that we are all working through some of these challenges together. And I encourage you that the next time you feel in pain or experiencing difficult emotions, that you really sit with yourself and accept yourself and acknowledge that deep pain, and that is understandable, and to be with yourself in that moment and integrate. Okay, lots of love. Bye for now.